Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Consciousness Unleashed podcast with Bonnie Serratore. I'm your co host, Cynthia. Bonnie Serratore is a new paradigm shaman and the founder of Spiritual Acceleration. And you can find all of her work at spiritualacceleration.com, including all episodes of Consciousness Unleashed podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about soul retrieval specifically. And before we actually get into the soul retrieval part of it, I do have questions for Bonnie about, like, general questions about the soul, before we get into the part where she talks about how you can become more whole by finding these parts of your souls that have been broken off in all time space and bringing them back to you to make you whole, which is the topic for today. First off, hi, Bonnie, how are you?
Hey, Cynthia, I'm good. Exciting topic.
Yeah, it is. I think this is a good one, and it's relevant to your upcoming module, Beyond Foundations program. You'll be teaching how to do soul retrieval in
Mhm.
depth, for about 4 sessions. So anybody who is listening to this and you really want to learn how to do what Bonnie's going to be talking about in today's episode, those are going to be, I'll have the links below so you could check out that module and the whole program for Beyond Foundations. Okay, Bonnie, so my first question is about what really is a soul in the context of like a person's total consciousness, because I think it's important that people have that kind of context when they're doing this kind of work. For example, I've heard you talk about things like higher levels of you, and we all have a super consciousness, we all have higher levels. Of course, we all have a physical body.
Mhm.
So what really is the soul in within all of that?
Okay. Well, the soul we're talking about is the soul that actually incarnates into physicality, into the physical body, into physical form. It could be incarnating in any time, space, dimension, universe, galaxy, lifetime, reality, black hole, parallel realms, all existence. Doesn't matter. That's the part that comes into the physical realm. Okay. That's what we're talking about. That's to relieve, this is the soul retrieval component of it, because this is the part that is coming through lifetimes, coming into this lifetime. It's the aspect of us that's the incarnating aspect of us. That's the soul piece we are actually talking about.
I've heard you talk before in some other videos. I don't know if they're training videos or group clearings, but you mentioned that the soul is asleep. So what do you mean by that?
Okay. Yeah, truly. Okay. So think about this. Think about your own life right here, right now. Okay. Let's say when you first come into the world, you may not have memory, but when you start to remember, when you start remembering your life, okay, think about how young you were. Think about what you knew. And then compare yourself to where you are now, years and years later, and all the lessons you've had, all the intense experiences you've had, and how much you have grown and expanded and become more and more aware. So, what's happening at the soul level is when we first had the initial separation from creation, when we became aware of our own awareness, the angst in that had to do with the separation, the initial separation. We were no longer feeling we were a part of creation itself. Okay, so that created a major angst. That angst is what we're all dealing with to this day. Okay, there's that feeling of separation. So, what's happening as a soul, in order to go back into the oneness, because when you think about creation, creation is all existence, everything. Our mind cannot comprehend it, can't wrap around it, okay? And it's the everything, it's the all that is. So as a soul, here we are, we come separate, we have an awareness, but all we have is awareness. We don't know anything, we haven't experienced anything. So in the evolution of that soul, one way to start waking up and to learn to have a direct experience is to incarnate, to come into physical form. And when we come into physical form, especially in those early experiences, we're still asleep. We have no idea. We know it's like it's that learning. We're learning and growing as a soul. And each lifetime we come in, even though we forget every previous lifetime, and it seems like we're starting over, what's actually happening is, yes, there's the forgetting, but there's energies that are anchored into what I call the soul imprint. So that that particular soul that we are, that's incarnating, we have experiences and we grow and learn. And we carry that energy into the soul imprint. When we incarnate again, we totally forget, but somehow that it's still there. And sometimes it'll start to be activated, it'll start to come forth. For example, in my life, in my world, I had no trainings. Okay. My learning how to do shamanism, to do soul retrieval, my my teaching was, I was with my business partner, and she said, Bonnie, this woman coming in for a session, she needs a soul retrieval. I'm like, what? She goes, don't worry about it. She knew me. So she said, woman comes in, my partner says, Bonnie, you have to go find her pieces, her essence, and bring it back. That was my training. Because of my past lives, I've already done this repeatedly and I mastered it. So even though I don't have memory of it, it was in me. So, I do what I do. I knew exactly what to do. And then from there, I exploded and became this, doing what I do. And it's the same for everyone. But basically, what's happening is it isn't just the experiences, it's the waking up. And this is what's vital. Think about this. When we're evolving and we have all these experiences, we're attached to the earth plane, and all of our experiences, we're believing this is what's important, this is what matters, because we have emotional attachment. We have all these beliefs, we have all these feelings, we have all these wants and desires, because the ego gets developed very early, and that's what begins to take over, rather than us living from a state of pure love and light, which is who we are. It's all the wounding that covers up, and then we carry all that wounding in all of our lifetimes. So the soul is wanting to wake up when it wants to go back into the oneness, back with creation, the all that is. The way that happens is to know itself as creation in all ways. So we have all these experiences, and every experience we have, in some way, we are growing and learning. But what we don't have are the higher teachings. And then this is partly why we've repeatedly, come back and do the same old things over and over, because we've never mastered anything. So it's about the soul mastering something, to know itself in these ways so that it no longer has to do the same old experiences repeatedly. So it's the soul's journey, going back to source, going back to creation, going back to oneness, and to know itself in all ways, to know itself as God, creator consciousness. And that's what we are doing. That's what's happening right here, right now, in these bodies.
Bonnie, so maybe a recap of what you mentioned is the soul is the part of us that incarnates into these different varied experiences, and our higher levels are ones that do not ever incarnate,
Right.
and guide, act as that overseeing guide for like the soul and our physical um, experiences. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes. I mean, our higher levels, there isn't just one aspect of us, and even our higher levels. Okay. We have several aspects of us that we call our higher levels. Again, these parts never incarnate. They never will incarnate. That's not what that's about. And I think it's important that people understand we are multi-dimensional beings. We're not just one little being, little soul that incarnates. We're the soul that incarnates that's connected to higher levels, which is several components of us. And this parts of us are what help us to connect with others and bring us together so that we can work our soul lessons out with each other. We don't know this consciously, but that's what our higher levels are doing. They're giving us guidance. Sometimes it feels like our knowing. We get a knowing. We feel danger. We feel, oh, okay, don't walk down that dark alley, or maybe, oh, turn left here, and all of a sudden you get a perfect parking spot. Okay. Or you're at the grocery store and you have this feeling or sense of, oh, we don't have bread at home. You have that thought and you negate it. Okay. These are your higher levels actually communicating with you and guiding you. They don't heal you, but they bring you together with opportunities for your own evolution. So they're always communicating with us, and I think it's a great thing to do, that people actually connect with their higher levels and have some kind of communication with that aspect of the self. And it's just ourselves. It's not somebody else. It is us.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Could you explain to people how our souls could even fragment, and why would we even need to do soul retrieval? Because obviously, if we're doing soul retrieval, that means that our souls could actually, I guess, break apart. And I've heard you talk
Yes.
about things like soul splintering, and I think
Hmm.
you've mentioned soul shattering, and I think you
Yeah.
mentioned fracturing as well, or different
Fracturing,
terms you use
dividing.
that are
Yes.
kind of represent
Yes.
the different ways that you
Yes.
see that a soul could
Yes.
I guess,
Yes.
fragments. So can you talk about all the different types and like,
Yeah.
what causes the splintering versus like the fracturing or whatever?
Right,
Can you talk
right,
about
right,
those?
right. Yes, yes. So there's like they said, there's several, there's many. There's when the soul divides, it's always going to have to do with some kind of intensity, some kind of trauma. Now, I just want to make it clear, we're talking about this fraction of the soul, the dividing of the soul itself. We're not really talking in this moment about like leaving pieces, okay? But what happens is, like, for example, a shatter, like a shattering. When you look at like windows on a glass that they're shattered and they can just fall and there's thousands of pieces. That's shattering. When I see that in a soul and I find that soul shattering, what's happened is some kind of intense trauma that literally is so intense it causes PTSD. It causes one to literally oftentimes they'll never be okay for lifetimes, meaning the damage is so severe and it went to the soul level, the soul itself literally shattered. Okay. And again, it can be any, like, for example, different people can handle things differently than other people. Like think about this: you have this thin skin and thick skin. Thin skins are more sensitive. Even words can hurt them. That type of thing. So when a soul shatters, it's indicating that a major trauma has happened, that they could not handle it. It was so intense that the whole being just literally shatters. Okay, and then from that place, from all the incarnations from then on, the person will never be okay. It's what I mean. It's like it's a severe trauma. It's a traumatic experience, and they'll keep incarnating, trying to find a way to come back together, but they're still having soul experiences, soul lessons, and they just can never get it together. So people who have had soul shattering might feel like there's nothing. I feel shattered. I feel like I'm broken. I feel like I can't do things. I can't function. I can't be in this world. Okay. It's a very intense experience. Okay. So then when we have the soul splintering, which is different, think about splintering. Okay. It's like, when I look at the energy, it's like the soul is like this, but then there's like these lines that kind of come through and it's splintered. They're not whole. Okay. They're not like a whole soul, like the whole being is all together. It's splintered, which is different than fragmented. Okay. So splintering, when I see someone who's got splintering, it's way less intense than the shattering. And but it's still some kind of intensities happen, some kind of emotional angst has happened. Sometimes it's a loss. Sometimes we just can't accept something. It's too intense. It's too traumatizing. And we're not shattered, but at the same time, we can't integrate what's happened. So there's a splintering. Okay. So there's no integration into experiences. It stays, it stays in that splintered state. Now, a soul that's been splintered, incarnating, no comparison to the shattering, but there's still an angst. There's still ways in which things don't seem to make sense, or you can't pull things together. And, you just kind of feel like, you're just kind of like not connecting in some way. But it's not, we don't, no matter what, we don't want any of these to be happening. We need to heal these and mend them, fix them, basically. So we got those splintering, and then there's a soul dividing. Sometimes I literally see the soul split in half, like literally, almost like a V will come down. I mean, there'll still be some kind of connection down at the lower parts, but it's divided. Okay. And when that happens, what's the soul is not literally connecting to its whole self. And in that, what also happens, kind of a trip, but what also happens, we feel like there's a part of us missing. And what we want then is we start looking for other, like, oh, maybe it's me, maybe there's a part of me, and people start having these beliefs that, oh, maybe it's my soulmate or my twin flame, or, something that literally makes us feel like, okay, well, the part of me that's missing has got to be out there. We don't understand what's missing is our own self, okay? Our own self, our own soul is divided. And how that happens is in life experiences, a division can happen, a dividing can happen. Again, it's going to be with some kind of intense experience. It can actually be a loss. It can be some kind of emotional angst. Again, it comes back to we can't handle something. Okay, the emotion is too intense. We can't handle it. It can actually happen through violations, like for example. Like when you're like children that have been sexually abused or mentally, emotionally, physically severe abuse can happen. So the soul will divide. Okay. So one part is living in a different experience that's experiencing the trauma, and then another part is living, in the body so that it can survive, so that it can still function. Okay. So there those intense things happen and it's like the soul literally, I've watched this happen so many times with people. It's like aspects of them are literally gone out of the body, okay, or leaning out or something because the trauma is too great, okay? And then um, we've got we got the splintering, the shattering, the dividing, and then we have another one. I forget what it was. Again, it's all comes down to the same thing when there's intense experiences that we can't emotionally handle. And that's what causes this that us to have at the soul level, the soul itself, the incarnating soul has divisions, cracks in it, splintering in it, shattering in it, fractures in it, and and oh, the fracturing, yeah. So fractured. So there's fractures. Like when you think about a fracture, like if a bone gets fractured, okay, it's not like a clean break. There's a fracture. That means there's more pieces. So when you look at the soul and there's a fracturing, again, intense experiences repeatedly, okay, to the point to finally the soul just can't handle anymore. So then once it does that fracturing thing, it's discombobulated, and people that are having that experience in their life will, on some level, they'll never be able to get it together. Think about this, okay? When you think about some of the people that are homeless, okay? Many of these people actually have some kind of mental illness, some kind of inability to function in the world. If you look at them, most likely we're going to find some kind of soul thing happening, whether there's a shattering or fracturing, doesn't matter, but there'll be something. And these people just cannot get it together. They can't function in the world. And without this kind of help, without healing that, it'll continue for lifetimes. Lifetimes, who knows how long, until maybe there's an intervention or maybe things start to come together gradually. But no matter what, if without help, it could be hundreds of lifetimes.
I've heard you talk about how there are times where the entities can actually be um, like holding a part of your soul captive in various like black holes or a different time space type of things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my question about that is when that happens, are they taking a piece that is already broken off, or are they doing stuff to create more, I guess, trauma to you so they could like take those parts of your soul? Or how does that
Hmm.
even like happen? And
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's so many different ways, different scenarios where where the part of your soul is either taken or stolen. And, you can also you leave yourself behind. Okay. But coming back to your question, here's a scenario. Let's just say in a past life that um, someone made someone angry, someone who has power, someone who has skills in the arts, the dark arts, okay? So let's just say someone, you know, did something and someone of the dark arts didn't like it, got angry, and then wanted to punish them or hurt them. They can literally take pieces of the soul and hold on to it and literally continue to torture that piece for eternity. Okay, I have this happen. I can't even tell you how often it happens. It's crazy. People will somehow be feeling they just feel like tortured souls. Nothing's really happening, but I just feel like I'm a tortured soul. Ah, go back, find these pieces of them that are being tortured, retrieve it, heal it, bring it back, and that feeling is gone. Okay. What happens though is many people want revenge. Many people want retribution. Think about your life right here, right now. And what are you experiencing? You got people who don't like you. You have people you don't like. Things happen. You want revenge. Okay. Think about what you want. Think about how many times maybe someone hurt you or betrayed you or shamed you or humiliated you, and you just wanted them to be punished. Okay. It's that feeling of wanting someone to suffer, wanting someone to be punished, feeling like they've done us harm, that we and anybody else can literally take pieces of the soul and keep it and keep it away from the actual being. Okay. And we have situations and scenarios where we have soul capturing. There's think about this, Satanism. There's a lot of rituals and they do sacrifices, and there's people who they spend their lives learning how to devour the soul. They learn how to do soul capturing. And in the soul capturing, what happens is they actually kill the body and they literally capture the soul and keep it in a container. And that soul never gets released until either the person releases it or somebody releases it or someone like us finds it, and myself and my team releases that soul. Okay. But the piece of that soul is literally captured and never to be free. And when that happens, we never feel whole and complete. We always feel like there's a part of us missing. Something's not right. Something's missing. I don't feel whole. So it can happen through anything. Even a person, just an average human, can do that as well. What not fully understanding that they're literally, because there's a feeling, a drive, like a driven, like I want to punish you, I want to torture you, and you have these thoughts and they can't get over it, and so literally they can literally take pieces of your soul. Okay. And then they maintain it, hold on to it. This is why pieces of us are stuck in many lifetimes. On the astral planes, there's enemies, there's mortal enemies on the astral planes, and all these enemies are going to be attacking or causing harm or taking pieces of the soul. Okay. But keep in mind, we do the same thing. It isn't just one way. We're not just the victim to everything. We are perpetrators as well. It's important that you understand that you too have done things and will continue to do things till you wake up, and things are being done to you. Okay, it's that dance that we're doing, knowing ourselves in all ways, but never really knowing ourselves because we don't know the true teachings, the higher teachings. That means know thyself in these ways means to surrender and know it. Don't, otherwise we keep perpetuating more suffering, more blame, more hurting, more capturing, more torturing, all of it back and forth. Okay, so this is something that everyone does, but at the same time, I guarantee you every human being alive has pieces of them that have been taken. They could be on the astral planes, they could be in past lives, could be other time space dimensions. Everyone has people who wants to cause harm because no one's really awake and understanding. It's all about the soul evolving. But yeah, it's like pieces of us can be taken. Someone can be envious of us or jealous, you know? It's the emotion. Think about the intensity of emotion with people. And that emotion is what causes us to have the power and ability to take pieces of people, take their soul energy, their soul essence, and retrieve it. And then keep in mind, remember, think about this. We got the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world. When you think about it, there's many, many aspects of people down in the underworld. How did that happen? Well, you got cast down there. Someone took you, pieces of you, and went down there, stole pieces of you, took you down, dropped you off, gave your pieces to somebody else. There's demons down there that have pieces of people's soul. Okay. I mean, there's all this stuff going on that people don't understand or don't have even know exists, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay. You just don't know it. But this is partly what causes and contributes to people feeling like, I just don't feel like I'm right. I can't get it together. I don't feel like I'm here. I feel like something's wrong. I don't feel whole and complete. I feel spacey. I feel lightheaded. I don't feel anchored. I feel like I'm floating, whatever, whatever. I don't feel like I'm a part of. I don't feel like I belong. It causes all kinds of angst. So, it's something that happens to everyone. Not just, everyone's going to have something, some kind of soul piece is gone. And, you've taken other people's pieces. And then two, we leave ourselves behind without, we're not being taken, stolen, but we literally leave ourselves behind.
So all the things you just mentioned about the soul capturing, soul devouring, that all sounds really intense. And you, like you said, you and your team are able to do that. And it takes a level of skill, obviously, to be able to do that, to find these pieces. And also, you would have to negotiate with these beings to take the pieces back. Is that right? So all of that
Yeah.
requires very specific steps. And these are things that you teach to your students in the Beyond
Hmm.
Foundations class.
Okay.
And could you talk about what you would be teaching people in Beyond Foundations? Did we cover everything that you'll be doing in Soul Retrieval, or is there anything that you
Yeah,
want to
there's
mention
yeah,
specifically?
there's still some, yeah, I do want to mention that we leave like for example, think about this. Let's just say in past life you fell in love and you promised to love each other forever and you hold on to that lifetime. You'll stay there, okay? Or think about this. How many places have you known, places that are haunted? How'd that happen? People don't know that they have died, so they leave essence of them, their soul pieces of them behind. And oftentimes anything that we hold on to, like we have a place that we just love. Oh, I just feel so peaceful here. I never want to leave. I just feel so good. So we can leave pieces of ourselves, okay? We can leave pieces of ourselves when we're rescuing somebody and there's a trauma and we have a major fight or something, soul fight and like killing each other, whatever. Trauma, and we can leave pieces of ourselves. So we're constantly leaving ourselves all over the place, okay? Sometimes I remember when I first started doing retrieval, I would use this little gourd, I would start shaking it, and I'd be echoing out through the universe, or, the upper worlds, and I would see, like, I'm not joking, it was like glitter coming back, glitter. And it was all one person's soul energy, soul essence, glitter, thousands of pieces coming back, okay? So we leave ourselves all over the place and we don't know it. But ultimately, on some level, subconsciously, we can feel we're not all the way here. And this is partly why we need to bring back our soul energy, our soul essence, bring it back. We need to be here.
So Bonnie, I probably have a lot of different pieces in my souls and all the different donut shops I visited all around and all the ice cream shops and
That's
bakeries.
it. Let me look. It's true, Cynthia. I can see you. You're eating ice cream there. Oh, and you got a donut over there. I can see it. How cute.
Are you for real?
I honestly got for real.
I'm really in a donut shop.
I see. Yeah, I can see a piece. There's an ice cream somewhere. You had an ice cream you really loved. Like you were tasting it. It was like, mmm. And then I see a
Oh,
donut. I'm not joking, for real. Okay.
I think it's a black sesame ice cream.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you remember that? Do you remember
Yeah, it's
that?
the best ice cream I've ever had.
Okay.
Black
You
sesame
did
ice cream from Japan.
right. Right. And see, because you knew you weren't going to always get it, you know what I'm saying? It was that feeling that, oh, I want this. And you knew that once you left, you'd never have it again. And so
It,
you did. I'm not joking. I can see it. I swear to you. You know what I'm saying? It was like you loved it. It was so good and you just wanted to keep enjoying it. Okay?
so that's not bad though, right? Do I need to retrieve myself from the ice cream? I do.
Yes. Yes. Okay? It's a piece of you.
So maybe you should do like a clearing that is retrieve yourself from like good, because you a lot of times you'll do these clearings and it's all the bad stuff. But what if
Right, right.
like
Yeah.
this, it could be a different type of clearing?
Right. Well, people
Would
leave
that
themselves with love. People love people and they don't want to leave them. They leave pieces of them. Everyone's notorious for that one. Okay. That's a positive. You felt love for someone or protecting someone, or like I was saying, love in a place or location. Oh, look at the beauty here. I don't ever want to leave. People go to Hawaii. They see all these amazing waterfalls, amazing, incredible, incredible. I never want to leave. They leave pieces of themselves there. Okay. It happens all the
wow.
time.
So I'm probably in Ireland right now and Scotland.
Hang on. Is she in Scotland? Ireland. You're in Ireland for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So could you talk about Beyond Foundations and how you'll be teaching people all these components we talked about today?
Yes. So what'll happen in foundations is it'll be a series. I think there'll be 4 classes. So each class I'll do a little bit, different part of the topic of soul retrieval. But basically, I'll be given the information about how it happens, and then I will also start doing demonstrations. And I'll pick some. What I do is like I'll have like it'll be a particular thing. Let's just say it's on something where a part of the soul has been taken as being tortured. Okay, so I'm looking for specifics. So each person holds something different. But what I do is I look to see, oh yeah, yeah, right there. There's one. There's another one. Oh, there's another one. So maybe I'll have 3 or 4 really good demos on that particular topic. Okay, and each person. I'll talk to them, question them a little bit about their experience because they don't really know what's up, but I understand how it's going to make them feel. So I'll ask questions about, think about this and how's that feel? And then I'll begin on the process. And as I'm doing, I'm talking about what I'm doing. I'm sharing what I'm doing. I'm finding this energy, this aspect, and I describe step by step how I'm retrieving it, the deals I'm making with the people who are holding on. Sometimes it'll be I'll accelerate them. It just depends. But no matter what, you're going to understand exactly how I did it, the questions I was asking, why I'm asking these questions, why I'm doing this, and then and then the healing part of it, the retrieval part of it. So I'm talking about every step I'm doing, and then once I've done the retrieval, bring it back, then what'll happen is you will visually see the person change. It's really cool. And they're going to feel different. So I ask them and they describe what they're noticing, what they're feeling like. Okay. And so after that, I'll move to the next person and then have questions. But basically, people are witnessing and learning about the soul retrieval and the steps to do it and the effects of the aftermath, the prior to and the after of a retrieval. So it's a hands-on healing training, in depth where I'm literally describing and talking out everything I'm doing. Like my thoughts, oh, I'm sensing this, so I'm telling people what I'm doing, what I'm sensing, so they understand what that does is it starts to activate in them deeper awarenesses, deeper abilities, because on some level, people that are drawn to this kind of work, they've been healers already, okay, shamans already, some kind of, energy healer. And it starts to awaken in them, the latent energies that are dormant energies that are asleep in them, but they start waking up. And people are just like profoundly shifted and changed, and the teachings that they're getting, you're not going to get it anywhere else. And the level at which I work, no one does this. And so you're learning to be a potent, powerful healer, in a modality that literally changes people in an instant, permanently changes them in an instant. So this is, what they'll be getting in that foundations.
I do have one more question before we wrap up, Bonnie, and that's about how um, these pieces of our soul, they broke off for a reason because of the trauma. And so you would have to actually heal enough of that trauma enough for the soul pieces to even want to come back. And so you of course will be teaching all those as well during this module as well, right?
Yes, that's a great question, Cynthia. Yes. So what happens is when we have let's just say a child's been molested. This is a simple one. This is common. Okay. So before I can actually bring these pieces back, because it won't come back, okay, I have to clear out not only the trauma, but the perpetrator energy of the violator. I have to clear out any of the, intense emotions, clear those energies out, clear out the darkness, clear out the pain, clear out the victimization, clear all that energy out, and then I can bring back that soul energy. And then also, let's just say if someone's been on the astral planes or in past lives and they've been being tortured, I release and clear all that trauma before I bring the soul back into the body. Okay. So, everything's cleaned out, cleared off so that the soul can come back in. So it's no longer holding all the traumas, but also the body is more open and now more ready and able for that soul to come back in. Otherwise, it's not coming in.
All right, one more quick question. It's really quick. So where is your one part of your soul enjoying like a food right now, Bonnie?
A food.
Yeah, is there
Okay. Where is it? I'm in the kitchen.
your own kitchen? You're
My own
enjoying.
kitchen. Yeah, I'm enjoying something I just made. Yeah, yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is when we're thinking about like when we really, really enjoy something, I'm not joking, you guys. We can leave little pieces of us thinking about that energy, thinking about that food, thinking about whatever. It can be with a lover. It can be thinking about sex. It can be thinking about food. It can be thinking about something that's happened. Okay. So we're leaving a piece of our energy there. So I think that's something for important for people to understand. Think about this. When you're constantly going back to a memory and you really enjoyed it or liked it, or a memory that you didn't, guarantee you pieces of you are there. So good thing to think about, good thing to remember.
All right. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for all this incredible information. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, comment below. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, please leave us a review. It really does help us. Once again, all the links to everything we talked about today will be in the description.
Bye. Thanks.